Hey, ladies and gents, welcome back to Theosophy and Beyond. Zero Cathos as always. And I am continuing with the study of Gnosis of the Cosmic Christ, Gnostic Christian Kabbalah. We are starting with the sephira of Gevurah, the dark face of God. And this one kind of got me excited because we had the last episode, the infinite love, but now we have like the kind of ugly side of God, but it really isn't what you think it is. So we're going to get into that. In page 168 of the book, it has some interesting associations with Gevurah. So one of them, it lists Samael. We find him on both the tree of life as well as the tree of death. We have the seraphim, which are the fiery angels, and we know that fire can be destructive or it can be purifying. It also says that the scapegoat is associated with Gevurah, and this is interesting because the scapegoat is Azazel, who is associated with Saturn, leading me to think that Gevurah has attachments to Saturn, though Mars is assigned to it. Gevurah is also associated with the Dark Mother, which can be expressed as Lilith, who also has Saturnian symbology incorporated in her sigil. So I think I think Saturn is also plays a big part in this sephira. Page 169. Furthermore, the book associates Gevurah with self-restraint. Okay, and those who know the qualities of Saturn understand that Saturn is popular for its binding energy. Okay, but this, when you master, I guess, this sephira, you are the one doing the binding, and it's the binding of yourself in order to accomplish things. Let's see. And we'll get more into why it's good to restrain oneself and how God restrains God's self. The reason God would need to restrain themselves is to allow for free will to exist. So, I don't know. I guess God is a control freak. I kind of understand. This restraint is expressed in the Bible as the seventh day. And you can find the mention of the seventh day there at Genesis chapter 2, verses 2 and 3. Just as God exercises self-restraint, so must it initiate for two reasons. One, to connect to and understand God, one must strive to become godly. Two, self-discipline is required to enter into higher dimensions. We must restrain ourselves from animalistic behavior in order for the God spark within us to have room to manifest more intensely through us. Okay, so that's why we need that Saturnian energy, that self-restraint. Page 171, through Gevurah, though Gevurah is seen as the sephira of judgment, the divine powers aren't necessarily harsh. According to the initiate's karmic standpoint, the powers can either be peaceful or wrathful. Those of an unenlightened nature risk facing destruction as their means of transformation, while the enlightened receive transformation by being guided to higher states of being. Gevurah does not really care. It's a separate transformation, and we know that energy cannot be destroyed, it can only be changed. So in the book, it talked about how you had Pharaoh and the Israelites, and the Israelites were the ones that were transformed in the quote-unquote positive way by Gevurah, whereas Pharaoh and his armies were destroyed and were given another chance to seek enlightenment in their next lives or their next incarnations. Either way, in a way, it's kind of both positive because everybody still gets a chance to go ahead and ascend, but it doesn't seem positive for Pharaoh's men in that moment. Anyway, so this statement is true in the case of Samael. Well, we're talking about your karmic standpoint determines how you see the spirits of Gevurah. That statement is true in the case of Samael, and this is speaking from personal experience. While he is known mainly as an angel of death to those who genuinely seek enlightenment, those who seek enlightenment will find that he can be a decent spiritual guide despite being rough around the edges, moody, and overly aggressive at times. His second redeeming quality is that he can be quite the comedian when he's in the presence of a female. I've had Samael personally come to me and speak with me and put me onto some information. And he can be nice. We didn't really get along too well, but I wouldn't necessarily say that he's a bad guy. But I do think that he is trying to be balanced, just like the scales of justice and judgment. And that's why he's on both trees. So, shout out to him. Anyway, the book states in page 172, the book states that God doesn't change. However, God's presence and power changes corresponding to the changes within our state of consciousness. This was also confirmed by Samael sometime back when he told me that God shows me whatever face I need to see. Okay, so the certain spirits that come up and the certain visions that you have, the certain teachers that you have, if you're seeking enlightenment and seeking ascension and seeking out God, God goes through those channels to give you what you need. And it's like God talking to you, but God is using those things. You know, it's like when Jesus was coming down, he was on a jackass or something, and the people are crying out and I guess praising him and stuff. And so the religious leaders were like, tell them to shut up. And Jesus was like, well, if they shut up, then the rocks would cry out. Okay. God, quote unquote, can use anything to get the information through that you need. Page 173. All spiritual forces, whether believed to be good or evil, are sustained by God's power and are manifestation of God's power. This includes angel, demon, titan, and human. All right, so let's go to Matthew 5:45 and see why I put that there. All right. Matthew 5:45 says, so that you may be children of your Father in heaven, for he makes his sun rise on the evil and on the good, and sends rain on the righteous and on the unrighteous. Okay, so if you want to go Egyptian, the sun was seen as the ultimate power. The sun is the giver of life. Okay, so if that power is radiating upon both the evil and the righteous, let's say demon, angel, titan, then we're all receiving this power and we're all being powered by God. And so he allows all of us, all of it, everything, the whole spectrum, to exist. And that is basically all that I have for Gevurah right now. It's pretty interesting. I can't say that I do have dreams, but I don't think that the current one that I had is attached to the sephira. Um, I think I'm still seeing residual. I'm getting residual dreams from the top three sephira, but it's cool. I haven't had any recent transmissions from fallen angels, but seeing that, it's talking about how God powers everything across the spectrum, and God is in everything across the spectrum. It's not surprising that I would receive transmissions from fallen angels. So yeah, I plan on continuing my studies. Um, I plan on looking at more Kabbalistic material. I'm finding a lot of interesting information. Um, Stuff that would just be considered heretical within mainstream Christianity. Um, Possibly even maybe back in the day, mainstream Judaism, but I don't know too much about Judaism. I just know that Kabbalah is associated with it. But I'm reading a book. Both, um, I'm reading a book on Jewish Kabbalah, and the author is going into that. But that's another rabbit hole, another video, another review, another time. Anyway, I hope everybody is doing good with their research, their studies. I hope that I'm inspiring somebody. Um, I know that the angel told me that there were going to be less and less people listening because on social media there tends to be more attention shown to garbage and things that are not applicable to spirituality than there is to something that is going to help people. So um, I do it for you out there, whoever's listening. Uh, anyway, so I'll talk to you later. All right, Zero Hakathos, over and out.